Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming, and also welcome back to another player cam video. In today's player cam, we're going to be taking a look at a game from Huk. So Huk is the player that we're going to be concentrating on in this game, and our opponent here is Nada. Let's go right into Huk Vision though. For those of you who are not familiar with player cam, essentially what we do is we're going to be watching the game through the eyes of the players you love. So today we're looking at Huk. In the past we've looked at people like Idra, QXC, and essentially we're just going to watch the game and watch them play how they play. We're going to see how their hotkeys go. We're going to see what they use for hotkeys, how they move around the map, their positioning, what they're looking for, what they're not paying attention to, and kind of having automated as well. Something important to know about this is that it gives you a good sense of a professional player's ability to macro and to do things while they're away from their base. A lot of professional players spend a lot of time harassing and a lot of time basically being a nuisance to their opponent. The reason they're able to do this is because they use their hotkeys to produce, and they're able to continue up their macro back in their base while they're still attacking. And that's something very important to get used to, and it's something that's very important to be comfortable with. For those reasons, I do think that player cam can be really beneficial, especially to newer players. So with that said, let's jump right into it. Again, this is a game from Huk, so we're just going to be watching what he does, how he plays, and yeah, starting off with pretty standard opening. It was a 9 pylon and a 13 gateway, I believe that was. Also going to be scouting, grabbing these Xel'Naga towers. The reason you're seeing Huk do this, you can see he's got the Xel'Naga tower and he's queued to the lower position after that, and looks like, yeah, he's going to that other Xel'Naga tower. He's trying to catch his opponent's scouting unit en route, basically. So if he saw it, he would have a much better idea faster of where his opponent is. Now, in not seeing it in either position, he's going to be checking that cross position right there, dropping a pylon, and then going back to his scout. And there we go, he finally sees the SCV, so he knows that the Terran player's not down there. If the Terran player was down there, he would have caught him en route when he grabbed those Xel'Naga towers. So going to be retreating back and looking in the upper left-hand map to see if the upper left-hand corner, the upper left-hand base, to see if his opponent is there, which he should be. Cybernex core going down for Huk at about 18 supply. So very standard opening for Huk thus far. Nothing too unorthodox, nothing too funny going on here. I'm not sure if he's going to get an early Zealot or not. Some players like to skip the early Zealot and go for the quick Stalker, but that Zealot is in fact coming out. Now, back in his base, he's scouting, checking for the refinery, seeing that Marine, going to try to avoid him, going right behind that mineral patch you can see there, so excellent job there. You don't want to lose your units, you know, every loss counts, you know what I mean? Every little inch counts in this game, so try to avoid losing your scouting probe unnecessarily. Probably going to be grabbing that Xel'Naga tower, then pretty much just chilling out there to see if there's any early Marine pressure coming. That is something that can be a real pain in the butt and something to worry about. So first Zealot is out, going to be trying to take out this SCV. Obviously the SCV is able to micro away from him if paid attention to, and then also that Stalker is going to be coming out as well. So as you can see, yeah, the probe is down there, basically looking for any early Marine pressure, because that could be something to worry about if his opponent pushed hard enough with that. Zealot going down, still continuing to chase the SCV. Huk is going to be, what is he doing next? Warp Gate Research is coming up, so as soon as that Cybernex core finished building, started getting that Warp Gate Research. And then there is the Sentry. Now, very important to look at the order in which he got those units. Started off with the Zealot to ward off any early game scouts. Next, following it up with the Stalker, that's going to help against any early Marine pressure. Also the possibility of Reapers. I know we don't see Reapers a lot anymore. People kind of just stopped using them after the patch that nerfed their speed, forcing you to get a factory to get their speed. But it's still, you know, it's still a good unit for early game harassment. So seeing Reapers early game is still a possibility. You could still lose probes to it. So going Zealot and then Stalker is a good opening. And then following that up right away with the Sentry. The point of the Sentry is to help protect you from any early game Marine Marauder push. You know, a Terran player can push out with 2 or 3 Marines, 2 or so Marauders, and a couple SCVs, and they can do a lot of damage early in the game while you're working up to your Warp Gate tech. So starting off with the Zealot, following that up with the Stalker, then getting a Sentry, that can really save you from that. He's also getting another Stalker immediately after that, and there is an expansion. Now, I was wondering why he hadn't placed any more buildings. So far, all we've seen for production buildings are 2 gateways. Usually by now you would have seen a Robo or a 3rd or 4th gateway, and the reason is, of course, because he intended on going for this quick expansion. So there you go, Huk going for a pretty quick expansion. Warp Gate is now up. Now at this point, we should be seeing at least a 3rd production building as well. We're going to see what he chooses to go for. Is he getting another gateway, or is he going to get a robotics? There it is. So robotics facility going down, that is his choice, that is his decision. Going to allow him to get observers, immortals if his opponent is going with a marauder heavy army. That allows the most versatility. As strong as a 4-gate can be, it's really meant to kind of mass up a large force early on and do pressure. So if you're going for quick expansion, a lot of times the 4-gate isn't going to be as effective. You would rather have the versatility by getting that robotics facility. So that is exactly why he chose to get that there. And just, you know, bouncing around the map. What is he doing? Anything funny going on over here? Probably dropping a pylon over there, give himself a little extra vision. Something to note about, we can see that the edge of his base is spotted with buildings. This is great for giving you vision, but also realize it could make you a little susceptible to some Banshee harassment. With a Banshee, having buildings on the edge of our base makes them very easy to target, very easy to pick off. So just something to think about, something to consider. Moving forward, here we go. We have an idea of what's going on. You can see Huk hasn't scouted his opponent's base in quite some time. So, you know, we don't have scan. That's not an option for us. We don't have an overlord to fly in there. We have to really wait for an observer. But something else to realize is that moving forward with an army, bringing your army to the front of their base, not necessarily to push in to attack, but it's a form of scouting. You know, you bring your army to the front of his base, and whatever units he defends with, that tells you what he's going for. So Huk moved to the front of his base. He saw a lot of Marines and Marauders. There we go. Right away he knows, pretty barracks heavy build, that's what I can expect, and that's exactly what was happening. So Huk is now well aware of what his opponent's going for. Now he's going to want to check for factories and starports, but you don't need to do that immediately. The fact that he was able to scout just by pushing to the front of his opponent's base was enough for the time being. Now moving forward with that observer, he's going to be checking for exactly what his opponent has, and that's just fine. Like I said, a form of scouting is attacking, just seeing what they defend with. That tells you what they've been going for. So there you go. In seeing with that observer, we did see there that there was a ghost. So now Huk is well aware of the fact that ghosts are on the board. He has to worry about EMPs. That can be very threatening. Also seeing that bio-heavy army, you can see right there, getting that robotics bay to get some Colossus out. So in seeing that you know your opponent goes for a bio-heavy army, getting either Colossus or getting High Templar are going to be the decisions you should be making, because that's what's going to work well against a bio-heavy army. Sticking with mainly gateway units, you're going to be in a lot of trouble against Marine, Marauder, Ghosts. So needing some of that higher tech, needing Colossus or needing High Templar, that's pretty much the situation you're in. Now the good thing to say is that once you do get that higher tech out, you're in a really strong position. Something else to note about what Huk is doing here, we can see him spreading out those units right in the center of the map. He's got a little nice concave right over here as well as right over here. You can see where my mouse is on the mini map there. What that is gonna allow him to do is he's got his army split up into two different positions, so that when his opponent pushes out, he's gonna be able to converge and kind of get a nice surround on his opponent. And that's basically the idea. That's what you want to do. Getting supply blocked right there momentarily, that's something you don't want to do. You know, even the professional players slip, and that's something to realize. I think that's something people should really consider about this game, that it's a game of making the least mistakes, and even professional players make mistakes from time to time. So it's okay if you mess up every now and then, but eliminating as many mistakes as possible, that is the goal. So stim pack going down, I believe we did see the EMP there as well from that ghost. So obviously taking out those shields very quickly. That's what you can see what happens. EMP makes quick work of your army. Once you lose those shields, stim-packed Marines and Marauders do a pretty good job of taking out your units. Like I said, gateway units up against Marine, Marauders and a Ghost, not going to cut it. You need that higher tech. So the first Colossus is coming out. At this point, Huk is feeling pretty safe up on the high ground there. He's going to be able to shoot down on anything that tries to push into his base. Just has to be careful to try to keep that Colossus in the back and not lose it. Make sure it doesn't get sniped down. You can see right there, yeah, trying to keep it a little bit in the back. That's the idea. So stim hack going down, engaging with the Colossus, and you can see right there, ran forward. He stimmed up, ran forward, and target fired the Colossus. That's a problem. Now Huk is forced to bring down these probes to help defend. That's something else important to realize too. I think a lot of players, you know, they lose the bulk of their army, they lose their Colossus, they lose their Stalkers, and then they just kind of give up. They're like, oh, well, that's it. He's got more units than I do. I've got not enough Stalkers left, so that's the end of the game. Bringing down your workers can help. You know, it'll help push back, it'll help defend just a little bit longer, and that'll buy you enough time, as you can see, warping in additional units, getting that Colossus out. It buys you enough time to build up your army again. Use your workers if you're outnumbered. If you're clearly outnumbered, you know, in basic terms, say your opponent pushes in with 4 Marauders, you have 2 Stalkers. You're clearly outnumbered. Engage with your probes until you can warp in some more units. that's what you want to do. Save yourself for as long as possible. Obviously, we don't want to lose our probes, but if it's a decision between losing the probes and losing the game, I'd rather lose a couple probes. And as you can see, Huk made that same decision as well, and that is the proper decision. So just macroing up at this point, you can see continuously building workers, got nice saturation on both bases there. Also getting that level 1 upgrade for his melee weapons, and another Colossus coming out. So just continuing to macro up. Again, still seeing a bio-heavy army from their opponent. So continuing to do what we're doing is going to work. Considering trying to get another expansion would be a good idea. Going to be very hard at this point though for Huk, you know, in this position with his opponent basically directly across from him, moving into the third natural, which is that gold mineral patch. Not very likely. It's very hard to be able to defend against that. And if he tries to move to any of the far right positions on the map, it's just going to take a simple drop from his opponent to take it out. So getting a third expansion in these positions, very difficult. It's very difficult to be able to do. With the observers there, he is seeing that, again, the pretty Marine Marauder heavy army. So thanks to the observers, we have a good idea of what our opponent's doing, and that's exactly what he was doing right there. So yeah, we're bringing some more units, continuing up the production, and that's it. Just basically macroing up. You know, Huk's a very solid player, very good, very talented player as well. And you can just see, you know, he's bouncing in between his hotkeys. He's able to pay attention to his army, going in between every one of his units, splitting up his army as needed, scouting forward with that observer. These are all things you guys should be trying to implement in your own games. Now going to be trying to pick off some units. You know, every small victory is a victory nonetheless. Getting 1 or 2 extra kills while your opponent is caught off guard, that is something you should try to do. Every resource counts, every unit counts. If you can pick off just a few units from his army, that is going to make you that much more successful in the actual full engagement once it does take place. Getting rid of 1 or 2 extra units, that helps. It adds up over time. Getting supply blocked again, even pros make mistakes. Like I said, it happens to everyone. Not a big deal though. Going to be moving forward. He's liking his position right now. Huk's feeling pretty comfortable where he is with the number of Colossus that he has. He feels like he should do really well against this bio ball. And look at what is happening. He is forcing Nada away from his base. Now Huk is in front of Nada's base, and Nada's units are away from both his natural and his main. Very, very dangerous. So Huk pretty much has to sit comfortably in between his main and his natural with his units like he's doing right now. And unless Nada moves up his forces, he is going to lose this base right here. Moving in, you can see he's going to be sending in some of those units, pulling back. He's just trying to tease him right now, trying to force him to push his units, engage forward. Got the Guardian Shield, that's going to help him quite a bit, cuts back drastically on the damage that those Marines and Marauders do. And at this point, you know, Nada's in a really tough position. Colossus sitting up on the high ground. Huk is going to be pushing into his base. This is really a tough position for Nada. Excellent job by Huk. You can see his units moving into the expansion and engaging it there. And if Nada loses that expansion, it's pretty much game over. And that's pretty much the case in all higher level play. If you lose an expansion, it's very hard for you to overcome your opponent unless you do significant damage. So pushing forward, Huk pretty much calmed the good game by putting the tag right there in chat. And then Nada goes ahead and leaves. So once again, guys, this has been a player cam video. We've been looking at a replay from Huk's perspective. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you do, let me know. Give it a nice little thumbs up. And once again, guys, this has been Force from Force Strategy Gaming. If you guys like our videos and you like what's going on here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep boning, guys. So getting up this expansion right now. Also, you can see here we did have that Twilight Council go down and this Templar Archives. This is essentially what you want to do. If you see your opponent going really heavy Marine Marauder, you can expect some medevacs to be coupled with that. Getting High Templar is going to be a good response. It's going to be something that you're going to be able to do to counter his forces and to deal with this heavy MM ball. Now, obviously Storm, really effective. It's only effective, however, if they sit under it. So people wonder, how am I going to be able to do it? All he has to do is stim and move his units. Essentially...